beach ball, football, volleyball, ibang football, tennis ball, stress ball, medyas, kahit mabaho, basketball. Dito, basta bola, basketball.
Pinoy Hoops, next on National Geographic.
I'm Rafe Bartholomew of Pinoy Hoops, a national obsession, and you're watching the National Geographic Channel.
We're facing a pivotal test tomorrow, a pivotal game tomorrow. They're banking on the fact that they're going to come in and really fight you and really try to outwork us.
Where else in the world can you find a saint, a gin bottle, and dancing girls all in the same place?
Philippines. I'm gonna go home and have stories to tell.
Where everything in the game is personal.
Can't nobody break us. Nobody's gonna break all 15 of us. Nobody will break us.
Where fans race towards their seats as though their lives depend on it.
I'm a little bit afraid for my life, but I'm still gonna do my best. Let's follow and see where they go. It was a stampede, so we're gonna have to move and let people sit down or else we're gonna be in trouble.
Brace yourselves. This is no ordinary game. I am Rafe Bartholomew, writer, sports journalist, and basketball nut. You see, my dad was a college basketball star, and I inherited his lanky build and love for the game, so I guess it's all his fault. That led to some great adventures. I flew from New York to Manila to write a book about the Philippines' love affair with basketball, among other things.
I said no! Now stop bothering!
Yep, I became a one-time soap star on Philippine TV.
Don't ever come back!
Now, I'm back for a different reason. I'm after the real game. But how can I, a tall and lanky American, go where many locals have never been? Basketball is my passport. It's my ticket to the heart and soul of this nation.
I'm in New York. Well, not exactly. It's New York, Cubao, the Philippines. New York, Cubao. Whenever people would see me on the street and say, "Hey man, hey Joe, where you from?" I'd say New York. And they'd say, "I'm from New York too. NYC, New York, Cubao." Taga New York ako. At hindi New York Cubao, pero New York City talaga. Kung New Yorker ka talaga, ayaw na ayaw mong taxi. Kasi mahal dun. Tawag namin dun ay, you're a bitch if you do that, man.
I'm taking a little trip to the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Many Filipinos take jeeps to catch professional basketball games. And so am I. On these jeeps, you can find their love for basketball painted on their very walls.
It took a long time for me to become comfortable riding jeepneys. Bayado. Sukle. Kaya 11 sa New York.
This is mouth pointing. Many Filipinos do this instead of gesturing with their fingers or hands. But I digress.
The biggest problem wasn't how small it was or how, often you have someone like with their hand on your lap or something like that. That makes some foreigners uncomfortable, but for me, it's not a big deal. But really, it's confusing. And there's no map. There's nothing to tell you how to do it. It's all up to you. It has to be in your head.
Riding a jeep is kind of like Pinoy pro ball. It's not what meets the eye. Even getting to the Coliseum seems like an obstacle course. This is definitely going to be trickier than I think. This is our first stop, the Smart Araneta Coliseum. It's the mecca of Philippine sports and the home of Pinoy professional ball. But what makes Philippine ball different from anywhere else in the world? In this episode, I am exploring just that.
We're here at Araneta Coliseum, the big dome where Game 4 is tonight, making a scene in between Farmers Plaza and Gateway Mall, so lots of people are looking at us. We're gonna walk around to talk to people about what they feel about basketball, and we got ourselves some nice media passes. It's gonna be exciting.
With an all-access pass, I'm going behind the scenes at the Professional Championship Series to see what makes basketball here so unique.
It's still 4 hours before the game. Hundreds and hundreds of people are lined up in front of the red gate. Kailan ka dumating dito?
1?
6 hours bago yung laro.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Sa tingin mo, bakit mahal ng mga Pilipino ang basketball?
Ang mga Pinoy is merong perseverance to achieve something eh.
Kasi po magagaling po sila.
Kahit maliit ka, pwede ka. Sa pananaw ko, yung nag-umpisa kay Joe kasi talaga.
Jaworski is a former player, also known as Jawo, the Big J, or the Living Legend. His silhouette can be found on the logo of the PBA, or the Philippine Basketball Association. In 1985, an iconic game cemented his legendary status.
Jeffrey Moore asks for the ball. Ituri misses from 15. Jaworski bleeding from the mouth.
Bleeding right down there.
That was a hard collision he had with Jeffrey Moore, and he was at the wrong end of the deal.
Now they can call for a 30-second injury timeout.
Jaworski busts his lip at the tail end of the second quarter.
There's this play. You can see Sonny already jumping for the rebound, but Jeff still coming in, and you hit him in the elbow. But it was an accidental play, and Sonny really felt that. For the fans of Ginebra San Miguel, Sonny Jaworski has been brought to the hospital. It's doubtful if he can come back or not, you know.
He's rushed to the hospital to get 9 stitches. His team, Ginebra, takes a nosedive.
His wits. Error upon error. It has become helter-skelter. Looks like a scene out of the Keystone Cops. Hackett also misses. A second try, likewise in vain, and he winds up in an embrace with Ibis Dignatise.
Suddenly, in the third quarter,
the miraculous reappearance of Sonny Jaworski, and look at him applying an ice pack. What a gallant warrior.
Sonny's bringing himself back to the ball game.
Despite the injury, Jaworski returns.
He's going to replace Ricky Relosa.
Well, if the PBA is giving away silver stars, this guy deserves it more than anybody else for gallantry and bravery above and beyond the call of duty.
To overcome more than a 10-point disadvantage, he commands his team as both leader and coach.
Jaworski. One shot. And a five.
And they needed that.
In the fourth quarter, the ref calls a foul on Jawo.
We're having a rain of debris and all kinds of missiles.
And the audience pelts the floor with coins and batteries.
Tonight will be probably an all-time low for Ginebra San Miguel here in the conference.
Despite every disadvantage, Jaworski never gives up.
Because they're in a good position to shoot, better foul them already. Okay. So the idea here is no double teaming, but not unless it is obvious that you can take it. Okay. Francis, watch out. Huh?
And against all odds, they score, point after point.
Relosa, here's Hackett. He figures to take on... Oh, here's Francis. The Big J goes galloping down court, past Elmer Reyes, over Jeffrey Moore. Not only is he the coach, not only is he the leader, not only is he the heart and soul of the team, now he's also the hero.
And the seemingly unthinkable happens.
And it's over. The ball game is over.
Ginebra wins.
You know, this is part of the game. I'm just happy that it didn't tear my whole face.
Sonny J is also one of the most abused, one of the most injured players in any list.
From this day forth, Jaworski becomes synonymous with never say die. This is now the battle cry of his former team, Ginebra.
Ginebra, it's very hard to play against them because they have the whole crowd cheering for them. Like you say, it's the home team.
Meanwhile, in the Talk and Text dugout,
And when we speak about heart, I'm really upset about all this talk. When they talk about Ginebra and the Ginebra never say die spirit.
Never say die.
Ever say die.
Ginebra!
It's as if Ginebra has a monopoly on heart. It's as if we got here on sheer talent. And nobody gives credit to our heart.
Kahit medyo tambak na, nakakahabol pa rin sa uli.
Forget Jimmy, continues to come in, play with an injury, play with pain. Take a look at Paul Harris. He's not one of the most physically gifted or talented players, but there's a reason he's here. The one thing I love about this team is our heart.
Unlike any other league in the world, the Philippines mostly roots for one team.
90% of these people are here for Ginebra. It's just the way it is in the Philippines.
Since I've got a taste of what the fans are feeling outside, I think it's time to see what's going on inside. Time to test this all-access pass.
Thank you, sir.
Wait a minute, this ain't no church. The last thing I expected to see backstage is this life-size statue of Jesus Christ.
We're inside the players' entrance of Araneta Coliseum. And the first thing you'll see when a lot of the players or almost any staff comes inside is they're going to touch this statue. It's called pahiyang. It's a sort of a mixture of the Philippines' Christian tradition and also the pre-Christian faiths that were a little more superstitious than Christianity permits. The players will touch it, say a quick prayer. It's just one of the solemn moments that occurs before the really heated battle of a championship game like this.
Inside, a flurry of activity before the gates open. But what's going on in the dugout? The Talk and Text team, They've got the lead 2-1 in this best-of-7 finals against the country favorite, Ginebra. Wait, before I lose you completely, let me explain. Teams here are not based on locations like the NBA. They're named after products. Ginebra is one of the world's best-selling gins, hence the giant gin bottle. And San Miguel is literally Saint Michael. On the bottle you'll see Saint Michael stepping on the devil. That's why there's a dancing gin bottle next to a saint. Ginebra means gin in Spanish, so when you hear this, people are literally shouting the word gin. Talkin' Text, on the other hand, is a cell phone network. They've got 2 large boys as mascots. And this paint can, a paint company, rain or shine. These are but a few of the teams in the Philippine Basketball Association, or the PBA. From pig feed to coffee, you name it, they've probably had it. The PBA is made of 10 powerful corporations who intermittently change their team names based on the products they want to sell. It can be a little confusing. Okay, back to the game. While Ginebra warms up outside, Talkin' Text strategizes inside.
Again, remember, number 1 rule today, no layups. Be very physical, get in their face. We are ready!
Talkin' Text is greeted by a booing crowd. I must admit, the feeling is overwhelming. And the teams battle for the ball. You may be wondering about the different faces you're seeing here. That's because teams have 3 different kinds of players. The import. You know the NBA hopefuls who don't quite make it? These are the imports. A player plucked from abroad, only 1 per team for the Commissioner's Cup. The Phil foreigner. Any player who can prove at least 1 parent is Filipino. Since the majority of them come from the States, they are mostly referred to as Philams or Philamericans. The homegrown. That's simple. Born and raised in the Republic of the Philippines. The team dynamic is different because with each one comes different expectations, and the money is different too. Imports receive the lion's share, but if they don't perform, they can be shipped out tomorrow. And despite differences in culture, expectation, and compensation, they have to fight as one. Ginebra butchers Talkin' Text by halftime. And Coach Chot grills his team. Even the mascot tries to keep their fans' spirits up. And the players come back with a vengeance. Then, the mass walkout begins. It's a Ginebra exodus. Unable to watch their team get bloodied on the court, Ginebra fans pack up their bags and leave. Despite this, Talkin' Text still manages to win this round, but to a half-filled arena.
One more, fellas. One more.
Keep me up. Hey, man, this doesn't mean anything if you don't finish it out.
This is definitely not the kind of scene I was expecting. It was a hard-won game, but so little were left to see it. I can only imagine what the players must feel.
I'm telling you, fellas, hey, no matter what, fellas, no matter what happens, as long as we stay here, we talk about it all the time, as long as we stay here, can't nobody break us. Yeah. Nobody's gonna break all 15 of us. Nobody will break us.
Yeah, it looked like a good game for them for a while.
Yeah. Just Jimmy's playing. He can't even walk, man. He can't even walk straight for this whole thing. Today we said they're going to come out with their best effort because that's what they needed to win this game. On Friday, they're going to come out with their strongest effort because they have no choice. All way to get back, buddy. That's the way. We started with their defense and rebounding, and we got it back. Don't exhale. Let's knock it over.
More stuff,
Let's go, guys.
What's up, guys?
What do you think it's going to take to close this out in the 5th game?
It's going to take hard work. We know that the arena is going to be jumping, 95% of fans are them. So, I mean, we just got to be prepared to just play our game and hopefully 48 minutes of a good game.
The current tally is 3-1 in favor of Talk and Text, but with injured players like Jimmy, who knows what will happen next? So what kind of pressure are these players under? I visit the Alaska team, who were just eliminated from the conference.
People like winners.
I speak to Alaska team owner Fred Oitengsu. I ask him about the nature of the game.
Do you find a correlation between the performance of Alaska products on the shelf and the performance of the team?
We've had a couple situations where we've won championships and then we have record sales shortly thereafter. But it's hard to make a direct correlation because what did the marketing team do in terms of special promotions? Again, human nature, people love winners, and when you're being written about, you're on the front page or you're on the sports page, you're on TV for winning, you have a little bit more media. So that certainly helps and contributes. I didn't expect we would win every game, but I wanted the players and I wanted the coaching staff to feel bad about every game we lost. Because I didn't sleep well at night. If I'm not sleeping, I don't want them sleeping.
Right.
If this is how Alaska's doing, I wonder how Ginebra is today. After their loss to Talk and Text, how does it feel to let down almost the entire nation? Our next stop is Green Meadows Covered Court, where Ginebra practices.
They rarely ever let the media inside, so this is a rare opportunity for us to actually see how the Never Say Die Ginebra team prepares. And talk about Never Say Die, this is when their motto matters the most. So they're down 3-1 to Talk and Text. If they lose one more game, they'll be eliminated, and Talk and Text will be champions.
Ginebra is known for being feisty, tough, hard. They fight for every possession of every game. They go out of their way to find these players who have a certain attitude, a certain swagger.
I meet their coach, Jong Oichiko, to find out how they're dealing with the pressure.
And when you're Ginebra, I think the harshest judges have to be the people,
Some can be harsh, some can be really nice, despite your loss. It's cool. It's a give and take.
At a press conference, Jong took the blame for their loss. He said they failed because he pushed them too hard.
Si Coach, kinuha niya lahat yung blame. So parang it's unfair na kinuha niya lahat na we are a team.
I speak to player Ronald Tubid to gain his perspective.
For us talaga, Ginebra is a team. Win or lose team kami, Ginebra kami. We are like family. Pag talo kayo, sometimes hindi mo maano yung opinion ng tao. Sa sobrang daming fans ng Ginebra, masama yung sinasabi sa'yo. So, ganun lang talaga.
Come on, let's go! Never say die on 3! 1, 2, 3! Never say die!
But how about Talk and Text? This is our next stop. Talk and Text practice at the Moro Lorenzo Sports Center in the Ateneo de Manila University.
For several years, the playing surface was hardwood that Ateneo alumni purchased from the NBA. It was the floor used at an NBA All-Star game.
Coach Chot is preparing for practice. Jimmy Alapag is nursing a nasty injury, and so is import Paul Harris. The question is, will they make it?
That's a baseline screen.
So I'm here at the practice of Talk and Text here at the Moro Lorenzo Gymnasium, and we're going to watch some practice and see how they prepare. Let's check it out.
Okay, so Ginebra is really doing a conscious effort to cut down on our assists. Didn't allow them to get into a rhythm. That's why let's make sure we just clean it up.
These practices at this level are really about preparing a game plan, how to focus on stopping Ginebra's best attacks to compete in what's going to be one of the most important games of the series.
What is the atmosphere like in the finals, especially against Ginebra, sort of the perennial crowd favorite here in the Philippines?
For any finals, it's very intense, obviously. But for some reason, because of the Ginebra mystique, it's doubly intense, if that's even possible.
I talked to Coach Chot Reyes to see how their team is holding up.
They're used to it. Though I guess the one rookie to all this is Paul Harris, our import, because he's never seen anything like this. Because you know this, a team like Ginebra, you let your guard down a little bit, you take a little breath, they're gonna come right back at you. So.
What's it like having to really carry a team as an import? Even, I mean, you've played big roles on teams throughout your life, but is this sort of the most a team at a really high level has asked you to do?
Yeah, it's actually, this is the most ever happened probably in my life.
We're facing a pivotal test tomorrow, a pivotal game tomorrow. I'm sure Ginebra's resting up, ready for a very, very big fight back tomorrow. But if you come in with much more effort, I think we're going to be fine. They're banking on the fact that they're going to come in and really fight you and really try to outwork us. Let game 2 be a lesson for us, gentlemen. Let game 2 be a lesson. Okay, and sprint back, don't give anything up. We are DNT!
Let's see what tomorrow's game will bring. See, the lights are still dim on the court and out at the Coliseum, but the players come out anyway to shoot around. The Iron at the Coliseum has a great deal of history. This Coliseum is the home of almost everything. It's the site of the 1975 Thrilla in Manila, one of the most famous and greatest boxing matches in the history of boxing. To concerts, beauty pageants, and in its downtime, cockfighting. You'd better believe it. This basketball court becomes a cockfighting arena during basketball's off-season. With such a colorful past, I wasn't surprised to see this wall of posters backstage. Beside one of the most famous boxing matches in history is the poster of Bananarama. Despite this, basketball is still the most lucrative franchise in the venue. You can actually see, if you look up into the rafters, that Talking Text has giant bags full of balloons to fall if they happen to win tonight. And here come some more balloons right now. So which of the teams will make history tonight? While Talking Text prepares for their victory, their rival piles into the stadium. It's a hard moment for Ginebra. If they lose again tonight, Talking Text wins the whole championship. Plus, I can only imagine how difficult it feels to have your coach take the fall for the entire team. Especially in a game that seems to mean so much more than just basketball. With this at stake, I think it's time to join the fans. The gates are now open. People are running up the stairs to get their seats. They're going up, they're going down. They're in a big hurry to get the best seats in the house. It's a little bit of a mad rush. The general admission are first come, first serve. If you don't get there first, you're going to be sitting in the stairs, you're going to be standing in the aisles, you're going to have to climb the walls to see something. Let's follow and see what happens. Ta-da! Usually when you see a line this long in the country, you see a lot of people looking down and muttering, "Habang pila," long line. Right now, though, everyone's in a pretty good mood because they're about to see Game 5 of the PBA Finals. This line just keeps getting longer and longer. The people just keep showing up. Soon I'm going to be pushed through the door in the back of the Araneta Coliseum. There's not even any space left. Excuse. At first, I find this quite exciting. But then the madness begins. The crowd of fans around me begins to push toward the best seats in the house. But just as quickly as the crowd builds, it disperses. I don't know how much of that you guys were able to see, but it was hundreds of people coming through this just to get seats here at this Ginebra game. And right now we're in the way, so we're going to have to move and let people sit down, or else we're going to be in hot water. So who can clobber this Ginebra juggernaut? Mighty Mouse, probably. Another cool trait of Pinoy ball is monikers.
Little Bo Peep had lost her sheep while out in the meadow green.
Many players are given creative nicknames by the media and fans. This is Mighty Mouse.
Mighty Mouse! He's off.
I mean, Jimmy Alapag, team captain of Talking Text. But will he be able to save the day?
know, I was never the biggest kid on the basketball court. So everyone used to say, oh, you know, Jimmy can play, he's so good, but he's so small. And so here you have me, not even 6 foot, you know, trying to play the game of basketball. So it was a tough challenge.
At 5'9" or 1.75 meters, Jimmy is one of the fastest, meanest, and shortest players in the league, hence the name. He is known to rally his team to victory when all seems lost. But will he be able to beat the Saint? From the largest Catholic nation in Asia, it comes as no surprise that one of their beloved players' images has inspired the visage of a saint. Also known as the Fearless, Ronald Tubid's image inspired the recreation of San Pedro Calungsod. On his body, you'll even find tattoos of a rosary, Jesus, Mary, and biblical sayings. He's also known to make the sign of the cross every time he makes a shot. In the past, there's been the trigger man for Alan Kaidik, holding the all-time local scoring record of 79 points in a single game. His precision as a sharpshooter gave him this name.
The trigger man drills in his first triple V of the evening.
Then there's the Skywalker, Samboy Lim. He took high-risk flying drives toward the basket.
The spin move.
His style left him prone to injuries, but he was electric to watch.
Inside the paint, Samboy is very hard to stop.
Lest I forget, El Presidente.
Mon
Fernandez, one of the greatest Filipino players of all time.
Passes off to Mon Fernandez, top of the key. There's the elegant shot. Yes.
His signature one-handed running jumper was branded the elegant shot. It was like watching ballet on the court. He won 4 MVP awards and a record-breaking 19 championships. So who will win this one? The Mouse or the Saint? Talk and Text or Ginebra? But before we find out, it's halftime. With just 1 point between the teams, this game could swing either way. Yep, this is halftime. In the Philippines, that is. Willing members of the audience subject themselves to all sorts of obstacles in order to shoot a ball.
In one game, you roll around in a barrel until your head spins. The first one to make a basket wins.
And all this is done in the name of fun. Tug of war, giant flip-flops. It's like a noontime show. And don't forget the giant slingshots that fling t-shirts into the crowd. One thing's for sure, it's really entertaining. But enough of the fun. It's time for the game. The second half starts with a Ginebra explosion. They close the third with a 4-point lead.
I think today Nate Bromfield showed why he's the best import. Completely outplayed Paul Harris. Paul Harris, I don't know where his mind was today. Paul Harris just really messed up big time tonight.
The last quarter is painful to watch. Ginebra butchers Talk and Text, who struggles desperately to gain advantage.
Nasa luneta yata yung mga player ko, namamasyal eh. They weren't running hard. We looked really tired today. They looked like the fresher team today. And that's unacceptable. That's a mortal sin for us in our team. Because if we don't have energy, we're a very mediocre team.
And with a final breath, Ginebra seals the game with a triple. Ginebra takes Game 5 with a 7-point lead. It seems this conference is far from over.
We still have the lead, so we'll still have another chance on Sunday.
Current tally, Talk and Text 3, Ginebra 2, in this best-of-7 finals.
They say in basketball that height is a might, or that you can't teach height. They say that height is pretty much the most important quality for any basketball player. You gotta be tall to play this game. That is, unless you're an import in the Philippines.
I'm at the PBA headquarters in Quezon City.
The PBA is probably the only league in the entire world where there's actually a height limit for certain players. Those players are the imports, the Americans, the foreign players who PBA teams hire to reinforce the local squads. The guys like Paul Harris of Talk and Text, Nate Brumfield of Ginebra, the hired guns who are supposed to come in and lead their teams in scoring, rebounding, in almost every statistical category. But they have to do so while being under a certain height.
That height in this conference is 6'4". This table is what they use to determine how tall a guy is and if he's allowed to play in this league. He has to lay, like I just did, with his bare feet flat against this board. But instead of laying like I did just by myself, he's going to have a whole crew of people pinning him to the table. Guys holding his knees, guys holding his shoulders, guys holding his forehead, all pressing it flat to the table to make sure that he's not compressing his body in any way and make his height a little bit lower to squeak under the limit. Before the table measurement was introduced, some imports cheated their height. Some bent their knees or backs, while others trained excessively, thinking this would make them appear shorter. So imagine that you come all the way over from another country, you fly 20 hours, you think you're going to make a ton of money playing professional basketball, and you lay down on this table and they say, "I'm sorry, you're too tall for basketball." I visit Paul Harris to see how it feels to experience this unique world of Philippine ball.
So, this is one of my shirts I got made, you know, representing. You know, this is how I really feel, man. I really feel like this, seriously.
He lives in a pretty swanky condo close to upper-end commercial centers and restaurants, a far cry from where he first began.
Man, you all over the nation right now. You on National Geographic right now, Daddy. You is, man. I'm telling you, say hi to them. The cameras all on the computer. They listening to you. I'm for real, Daddy. I promise. Yeah, this is my father.
Hi, sir. How are you? I'm all right. I'm all right. He's not kidding. There's a whole crew of people out here doing a film on basketball in the Philippines, and Paul is going to be part of it. Yeah, it's for real. It is a real deal. Well, we're doing our best to make it good. Hey, I'll let y'all talk.
All right, Daddy.
Paul was a star player for Syracuse University who missed his chance with the Utah Jazz because of an injury. Life in the Philippines may be fun and games, but back home in the States, he's just a regular guy trying to support his kids and folks.
I ain't gonna lie, I can't wait to see my family, man. For real, man. Miss my sons, my mom, dad. It's the longest I've ever been away from home.
So how did Paul end up here in Manila?
I had a lot of hype. I was like a top 5 player behind Kevin Durant. I always thought I was going to the NBA, so I always told my family and friends I would never go overseas and play. Nah, I'm going to NBA, I'm going to NBA. But in life, everything don't always go as you plan.
Just like Paul, I never thought I'd end up in the Philippines. Next stop, Barangay Loyola Heights. Here, I learned about the game from a unique group of people.
So this is the street where I used to live on. These guys over here in the tricycle terminal, I used to see every day. It got to the point where I couldn't walk by without stopping and talking to them for 15 minutes most days.
Para kang bata, ano?
Para akong kapre, no?
Team captain.
Team captain? Yeah, talaga? These guys really taught me a lot about the country, taught me about basketball, taught me how to be the tanguero, how to drink, and how to speak Tagalog.
Mutaro, minsan may mga basketball doon. Sabado, Linggo, may palaro doon ganun.
Talaga? I lived in the same neighborhood in New York for 20 years and never had that kind of relationship with anyone. I lived here for 3 years, and I had friends all over the neighborhood.
It's then that I began falling in love with this Filipino style of basketball. But how about the nation? How did this Philippine love affair with basketball begin?
My countrymen, I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
The Philippines has had a troublesome past. So through it all, how did the sport not only endure, but grow into a national obsession?
So I'm here in the middle of Katipunan Avenue on what is called the Blue Bridge. over to the other side, you'll find Ateneo de Manila University. I had a research grant that allowed me to go inside Ateneo and use their library to learn about the history of the game, going from 1910s and 15s all the way to the 2000s.
What I discover turns out to be quite incredible. In 1898, under the Treaty of Paris, the Americans bought the Philippines from Spain for $20 million. This began a colonization that lasted nearly 50 years. The U.S. established a school system, which included sports such as basketball in their attempts to foster discipline and cooperation. These sports were used as tools toward nation building, since Filipinos were supposedly incapable of self-rule. In 1910, the YMCA, or Young Men's Christian Association, included the sport in public schools. It was initially introduced as a girls' game, but the boys loved it too. Professional leagues were born, and the golden age of basketball began. From 1913 to 1934, the Philippines won 9 out of 10 crowns in the Far Eastern Games, the precursor of the Asian Games. And in 1936, the first time the sport was included in the Olympics, the Philippine team, captained by Ambrosio Padilla, beat every team they were up against except the US. And from that year until 1972, the Philippines played in every Olympic tournament, apart from one. Basketball put the country on the Olympic world map, and the public saw that they could compete amongst the very best in the world. And thus, the love affair began. On September 21, 1972, a dark age descended upon the country.
The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces of the Philippines, and whenever it becomes necessary, he may call out such armed forces to prevent or suppress.
President Ferdinand Marcos proclaimed martial law, which lasted for the next 14 years. Press freedom and other civil liberties were curtailed.
I came here for gold, and I'm gonna get it.
Right after the proclamation, cartoons were broadcast. You could only watch a few things on TV.
Cut up. Oh, there's something phony around here.
American shows, comedies, soaps, and basketball. The people, quite simply, had nothing else to watch. Then, the PBA was born, and a once unknown player named Jaworski began his ascent. He embodied the spirit to never give up, something so many at that time so needed to hear.
You have made history. What can you say?
I would like to thank the millions and millions of fans, especially those who even come out of their way to ride me, my team, all sorts of support, masses, prayers, and all the good wishes for this team.
We will have a PBA champion, Ginebra San Miguel.
It was then that the sport turned from national love to national obsession. Game 6 now at the PBA Finals. Current tally, 3-2 in Talk and Text's favor. This isn't just a game. The story on the court reflects the very lives of those who come to watch. More than just a team, Ginebra represents an idea that adversity can always be overcome. Through unity, tenacity, and undying will, no opponent is too strong to be overthrown. Basketball here is the nation's story. But the question is, who's going to win this one? Will Paul pour in the points with team captain Jimmy? Or will Ronald and the Ginebra team rally together to force a 7th game? Knowing their stories, it's difficult to choose a side. But if you've ever been to a Ginebra game, you'd know that anything's possible. Heck, even the mascots are fighting. There are the kids. There are the stars. There are the team bosses, sitting together under one roof. If I were a player right now, I wouldn't know what to do. Ginebra dominates Game 6, opening the final quarter with a 16-point lead. But all of a sudden, Talk and Text pulls a fast one, going on an 11-point run. leaving them with a mere 4-point deficit. The audience is at the edge of their seats. Now, if you watch this game very closely, you'll notice something different about it. Gameplay. Unlike the NBA, where much of the play happens above the rim, here it happens below it. Since many of them aren't that tall, players resort to all sorts of tactics to make their shots. But it's not just about getting the ball in, it's about doing it in style. This is called descarte. One example is pectos. One spins the ball off the backboard, kind of like you do in billiards.
Another is the upo sa ere, or sitting on air shot. Instead of waiting for their chance to shoot while on the ground, players twist and turn their bodies to find an opening while sitting on air. Unlike the NBA, where finishing above the rim is standard, here improvising in mid-air is a tactical and stylistic ploy.
The game here is admittedly rough. Here, one of the worst things a player can be called is picon, or a sore loser. So players use wit and mind games to throw each other off focus. Oh, and by the way, about the rules I've been explaining for this conference, all these could change next season. Unlike the NBA, whose formats are practically set in stone, the rules here can change every season. One thing you can rely on, with this game, you never know what to expect. Back to the game. With only 19 seconds to go, Jimmy bags a risky layup and sends the game into overtime. It's so close. With less than a minute left, Ginebra sinks a triple. With a single point between them, the game could swing either way. There's less than a minute left and only a single point between the teams. This is anybody's game. Ginebra misses a shot. Talking Tex nails a three-pointer. Ginebra takes possession. They lose the ball. And Talking Text bags the gold.
There's such a respect. There's such a respect and a genuine love for what we do and what we do for each other. And I couldn't be more proud of our team. I really can't.
Ginebra loses the championship to the ire of almost the entire nation. But then again, there's always another game.
You cannot win a Grand Slam on talent alone. It's got to be talent and character and a whole lot of luck. Number one, to get the players.
I'm sorry. I played for a lot of coaches in my life. I played for a Hall of Fame coach all over the world.
No coach chews you out as much as
this
me.
Coach Chuck is the best motivating coach I ever had, and he just stuck with us, and he just a great schemer and game planner.
Because I keep chewing
This is the MVP too right here, Coach Chuck Reyes.
I love these guys.
We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. We're number one.
Paul is on his way home now that they've won the championship. But before he goes, he invites me to spend some time with him.
You know, this is the beautiful sight of the Philippines, you know? You know what I'm saying? You just come here and you just sit here and be like, man, just look at my backyard.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, okay. Walk around with you and become a celebrity by default.
Nah, you celebrity in your own way.
What are you going to remember most about the Philippines?
I think the people. Yeah, I think the people and just how they just welcomed me here and just understood me from day one and just accepted me. That'd be the main thing.
If
you walk a little bit down?
Yeah, let's do it. It's beautiful. Beautiful sunset. Beautiful, beautiful Pilipinas. But no, seriously, it's a pretty great way for Paul to say goodbye to the Philippines, and it's obvious that he's had an amazing experience here, not just as a basketball player, but as a person. And I kind of felt the same way, even though I wasn't a real basketball player when I was here before. I came here as a writer, as a researcher, someone interested in this phenomenon of Philippine basketball, and I left just being totally in love with the country. It's really amazing, like, where we don't really have beaches like that. The first time you go,
especially I heard it's white sand too.
White sand. It doesn't get hot. Did you ever eat halo halo? Who? Did you ever eat halo halo, the dessert? It's like the shaved ice with all kinds of. It's got like fruit, gelatin, some cornflakes, flan. They put halo halo. It means like mix. So that's really what you're eating. You're eating ice with just all kinds of stuff.
So what about this? That's milkshake.
On the final episode of Pinoy Hoops, we'll step out of the court to enter the intimate lives of 4 unique individuals who chose basketball as a means to survive.
Imagine, I cover every game. Ako na talaga si Sharon na cheerer. Pag-aari na ako ng PBA. Hindi na ako pag-aari ng pamilya ko.
For them, it's always a do-or-die battle.
Diretso ang pag-aaral nila dahil sa basketball.
Catch the final episode of Pinoy Hoops, Monday nights at 9